All right, everybody, and welcome to Two Farts in a Can. I'm your host, John Moore, with my other host, Jason Salter. Jay, what's going on, buddy?
Well, thanks to Leslie's juice cleanse, I haven't taken a solid shit in 3 days, but other than that, I'm peaches.
Okay. Listen, we're going to get in real quick. We're going to introduce Leslie here. We got a special guest, Leslie Weitz, that's going to be joining us. Leslie, how are you doing?
Thanks, guys. Good. How are y'all?
Fine. I know a lot of you Duncanville people right now are probably rolling your eyes and going doing this. And you're going, who is Leslie Weitz?
Who the hell is this chick?
Yeah, who is this chick? If y'all don't remember her, she was a 1986er. She was, I had her for government. Who did you have her for, Jason?
I had her for breakfast. I don't think she was born in
More than once.
1986. I don't think she was born in 86. Leslie's a little younger than me.
I'm looking at you. Weren't you in Mrs. Bell's second period English? I can't even remember.
Possibly, although the picture behind you, Jason, does not really do me justice. It's like reliving all of my past mistakes in one clip here.
We got an hour to go. Brace yourself.
Yep. Oh. No, actually, Leslie Weitz. Leslie is a friend of Leslie, and her husband are friends of Jason, and we're gonna talk about Leslie in a little bit. We're gonna get into how Jason and Leslie know each other. We wanted a woman to come on here. Since we haven't had a woman on Two Farts in a Can, I know a lot of you were bugging us about that. We finally have a woman on here. We're going to talk about Mother's Day, you are a mom, so I know that. And we'll get into that in just a second. But right now, Jay, let's promote the website. And where do they need to go right now if they want to see this?
As usual, you can follow us on Twitter at Two Farts in a Can. That's on Twitter at Two Farts in a Can. You can catch us on Facebook on our group page or our actual business page, which is Two Farts in a Can on Facebook. You can go to our actual website, which is www.twofartsinacan.com. That's where you can find all of the videos and all the podcasts from all the episodes in one convenient location. You can catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Sphincter, Tickle My Nuts, so I don't forget all the names of the podcast, but every podcast station that's out there, you can pretty much look us up. You just go to the search bar, type in Two Farts in a Can, and typically we'll pop right up.
So, okay. Well, that does it. Now, hey, Jay, any interesting feedback from last week before we get Leslie going here? Because this is going to be all Leslie all the time, but any feedback you got that?
Yeah, actually, and it's interesting because that's how we kind of came up with the idea to bring Leslie on was everybody was pushing us for a female. You need to bring on a woman. They wanted my sister, they wanted my mother, they wanted your mother, they wanted everybody, and we figured.
Hey, don't talk about my mother.
Well, I talk about your mother all the time, but that's because I love her as if she was my own mother, and in most cases, she probably is. But they wanted us to have a female on, and so all of the responses that I read and that I enjoyed, and I love doing that every week, were please bring a woman on there. There's a woman that can keep up with you guys. You just have to get her on and let her have some fun with it. And so it took me about 8 seconds to come up with Leslie's name.
Wait a minute.
I knew exactly.
Wait a minute.
My reputation precedes me.
Wait a minute. Now, Leslie, let me be very clear. We went back and forth on this, and out of nowhere, I'm the one that said, "Hey, what's this friend you're telling me about that?" Right? Was I not the one that brought that up?
That's true.
So, don't sit there and take all of my freaking credit, you idiot. I'm the one that brought it up and said, your friend. Look, we have a lot of great friends from high school. And the thing is trying to figure out which one to do. And that sounded wrong. Trying to figure out which one to get to come on here.
I got a list of references.
I know, right? I'm your first, and which one to do.
Right.
What kind of show am I on?
Yeah, you better hang on. I hope you're
folks,
strapped.
It's come to our favorite segment called Take Off Your Shirts and Pants.
This is a regular show that most people don't see unless they watch the video, and the videos are not rated for YouTube. But, okay, shirts off. Let's go. Oh, no, if you can't see behind us, by the way, this is Leslie's belly right here. I'm touching Leslie's belly. So your youngest, right? Now, Leslie, let's get into Leslie. We've done all that. Now let's get into man, this is
Third strike, buddy. Third strike.
I know it. I tell you, we're about to go off the air. So, Leslie, tell us about yourself. Where did you grow up? Where are you from?
Well, I just think it's really unfair that you have that picture up after the first time I ate at Taco Bell in 10 years. Man.
Hey, don't be ashamed. I can
It
outdo
wasn't
you.
actually pregnant. It was 2 parts and it was gone.
Hey, if I stand up and raise my hands this high, you can see my belly, and it's going to far outdo yours. I promise you. That's where I'm at now.
John is in his 35th trimester.
Yeah. Leslie, where are you from?
So I'm originally from Indiana, but I've been in Florida for about 20-ish years. Been here, been married for about 7-ish.
I've seen some pictures. What's your husband's name?
Eric.
Eric. Okay. Now let me ask you this. What do you do for a living? What did you say?
Sarah.
Sarah? What?
Sarah is her husband's name.
Her husband is Sarah. Okay. That's some NC guys in this episode. I'm the one that's on the outside, so I don't know the inside jokes that are going on here. So I know y'all have gone
the inside joke either. He's on his own over there.
Yeah. Okay. Jason, sometimes have another drink, buddy. So let me ask you this: what do you do for a living?
So I work for a software company. I'm the director of product at a software company.
So you make a lot of money.
And not really. I do it for all of the fun that we have all day.
So Eric,
Definitely not.
so did Eric marry way up? Is that what I'm garnering here?
Yeah. I mean, he came with 2 kids, so like that instantly was like you need to have the right woman. But I mean.
So now wait a minute. So the 3 kids I see, the older 2 are his.
Yep.
So my wife is a stepmother. We'll get into that in a little bit. So that's so. A guy that has 2 kids already convinces you that's the head of a company practically and makes all this money to marry him. That guy's got game.
Or a really big dick.
Yes.
I wasn't going to say that. I wasn't going to say that. You know, everyone, if you haven't seen a picture of me next to my wife, let me just say that the questions come up. It's so funny. I'm 9 years older than my wife. We went back to a 20-year reunion, and I had put on weight. Imagine that. And we were going back, and she's gorgeous, like yourself. She's a beautiful girl, and we're going back, and so she's like, you really need, I said, I don't got to lose weight. And she goes, no, hell no, I'm going back just like this because everybody at your reunion is going to look at me and think I'm either rich or I have a huge personality. And that's exactly what they're going to think. And I'm going to sit at the bar and I'm going to drink beer and I'm just going to watch and enjoy it because there's no way I'm supposed to be with you. So, so let me ask you this. So how has Corona affected what you do?
Oh man, it's a fucking shit show. I don't even know where to start. Like my husband and I have always worked at home for 5+ years now. And so we actually both work at home. We work in separate parts of the house because we probably would kill each other if we saw each other all day. Uh-huh. So our kids are home with us now, of course, and trying to homeschool, be, boss mom or boss dad in his case, and then semblance of,
Wait a minute. I'm going to stop you there. Boss mom. Did you hear that?
Boss mom.
I heard Indiana. Okay. All right. I want to hear the rest of the story, but so I got to ask. Jason and I come from an area where we say, like, if you want a soft drink, you want a Coke. And that Coke means every brand of Coke. You want a Coke? What kind of Coke? I want a Dr. Pepper. My wife says pop. That's what my wife says. What do you say?
Well, we say soda. I grew up saying
soda.
Coke.
You say soda?
Like, if you say you want a Coke, what kind of Coke do you want? You want Sprite? You want whatever? But I say soda.
Soda. Okay. Back to what you were talking about. So now you're working at home. Kids are running around. I'm sorry, box mom. I heard box mom, and it threw me for a loop.
Boss mom all day, trying to keep some sort of routine in the house and like actually get people fed and like making sure nobody jumps off the roof of this damn thing. I mean, so yeah, Corona, we just have to create our own little worlds, as parents and keeping our kids, but I've never spent so much time with my kids. And a good thing, I've had a lot of bonding with them, but I'm kind of at the point where I've had enough bonding. It's time for them to go back to school.
Jason,
I asked her yesterday, I said, is 8 o'clock going to work for you? And she said, yeah, I'll just wrap a couple Blender on some cheese and blow it down their throat.
Pretty much.
That works, by the way. If you don't, it works on your wife too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's how you got the other 2 kids.
That's yeah. So my wife, we have a 22-year-old that is mine. but was 4 when she met my wife. So your kids are small. How old's your oldest?
We have a 13-year-old, an 11-year-old, and she's the only other girl. So her and I,
Yeah.
And then the little one is 6.
Is 6. So we're talking the 13-year-old was at least 7 or so when he met you.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think when my husband and I started dating, he was only about 3.5, and his daughter, the middle child now, was about 1.5 years. So I mean,
Okay.
I had a big part in raising them. Like we did diapers, we did potty training together. It's
So all right,
I've
so
been there.
you're like my wife. Yeah. So my wife, my daughter doesn't remember life without my wife. That's just how it is.
Yep.
So I guess I'm interested to hear this story. I'm the one that gets to ask this one. How the hell do you know Jay? You know how I know Jay. If you've listened to the podcast, we'll get that in a minute. How do you know Jason?
How do I not know Jason? I think is the point that we need to probably get at this point.
Yeah.
Gosh, I mean, so Jason and I used to live in the same neighborhood. That's really how we met. I think that we all worked at home, and we had like a neighborhood Facebook page. So we started this thing called the water cooler, and it's for all the people that worked at home. We got together, and I had like a little invite sent out, and we all met up at our like clubhouse, and that's really how we started kind of hanging out. And then that morphed into many late nights on street loitering, neglecting children, at least on my part.
Just basic parental stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, basically, like we would laugh and look at each other and be like, I can't believe that like we're people's parents, and
Yes.
like here we are partying till 3 a.m. playing flip cup and whatever God knows weird drinking game or anything that we could think of to entertain ourselves.
Okay, that's funny because that question is number 15 on the list about flip cup.
Oh, flip cup.
But we're not going to do that yet. We're going to come back to that because I do have to ask, have you listened to the podcast?
I have.
All of them? Because I'm going to give you no, I'm just kidding.
I don't know about all of them. I think maybe not the most recent one, but yeah, I've listened to them. Of course, I'm going to follow Jason's success in podcasting as one of my closest friends. I have to see what kind of bullshit he's going to come up with.
Yeah. No kidding.
It's all bullshit.
Well, and the thing is getting him. He's finally. You've enjoyed this because I've had now. So you know the story of Jay and I and how long we've been friends. But
yep.
Hey, I'm going to ask you this, Jay. How come when I've been to Tampa now 3 times, why haven't I met this woman?
Oh, because I don't like you.
Okay, fair enough. That's fair enough.
I'm sorry.
Maybe
I thought we worked that out a long time ago.
Yeah, right? I forget. I'm 52. I'm fat. I'm not drinking. I'm drinking iced tea. Not that I won't be drinking alcohol later, but I have to run all the dials here.
Well, honestly, it's only by happen chance that you haven't met Leslie and Eric, and they lived in the neighborhood with us for about 3.5 years, I guess.
Yeah.
And then
you got the hell out. Okay.
Pretty much, yeah. They were paroled, and they moved to another neighboring neighborhood called Fishhawk, which is about 10 minutes down the road, I guess.
So they went too far away for you to introduce me. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much it.
Yeah, and he might also just be afraid that like he might like me better than him. So I don't blame him.
True.
I've met you for 10 minutes. I like you better than him. Shit, yeah, that's what he was worried about. I have dealt with more shit from this guy than you ever want to know. So that's why I'm. And you now you've got me cussing. See, so I'm trying the guy that's trying to be on the straight and narrow. Okay, so so I want to hear about the family. So tell me about your kids. Tell me about the boy, the girl. You've got one girl. What's that like? Poor girl. I mean,
I know. And so her and I are like in it together and in survival mode on most days.
Tell me their names. Tell me their names, ages, and something about them, the personalities.
Okay, so we've got Ethan. He's the oldest. He's 13. He pretty much, I don't know, I haven't seen him in about 2 years because he plays video games all day and playing Fortnite. So I guess he's okay. I mean, we feed him once in a while. He's a good kid though, super soft-hearted like his dad. Is just a big lover. And then we got Jillian, and she's 11. She's pretty much going
big
to
lover.
Be big
lover.
Okay, big lover. He's a big lover.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make any comparisons there. It's been a long time since I changed a diaper there.
Yeah.
2 years apparently.
Yeah. So Jillian though. This chick is going to be like, there's one of two ways. She's either going to be like.
Now, what's her name? I'm sorry.
Jillian.
Jillian. How old is she?
And she's 11.
And 11. Okay.
she's probably going to be either like president of the United States, or she's going to run like a cutthroat bookie business. It's like one of the other. I don't know which one yet, but it's going to be straight up like savage.
She's going to have, and she's going to always have a little bit of bank. Is that what you're saying? She's going to have.
And she doesn't take shit off anybody. I mean, like, for real, including her parents. She's just like, she knows what I've never met any kid that knows what they want more than her. I mean, she's just, and then we got Clayton. I mean, God's honest truth. I looked at my husband one day. We were on our honeymoon and we just got married. And I said, let's have a baby. And he's like, all right, I'm going to do this. And I'm like, do it. And sure enough, that got me pregnant. And we made that conscious decision to have a baby. And we look at each other all the time, like, what were we thinking? Because this kid, I love him. He's awesome, but he's batshit crazy. So like, I don't.
So there's not another one coming?
Oh no, the factory is officially closed.
You closed your now wait a minute. So now your husband did he get fixed or you?
Oh no, he got fixed.
When you start talking about Flip Cup, it'll all tie in together.
We've
seen everything that's happened to Eric over the last 5 years because it happened live and in public.
Yes, it did. And no, that's not that.
Okay, wait a minute. We got to go ahead. Now we got to go into that story. So now what? Live and in public. Now did you give him hell, Jason? Because that would be something.
Well, first you have to, and I'll let Leslie set it up because she tells it so much better, and she's so much better looking than me. But everything on our street happened live and in public. So now would be a great time to start talking about Flip Cup because that kind of tells you how all of this shit happened. So Leslie,
okay, what the hell is Flip Cup?
Yeah, talk to us, and this is our street, and kind of lead us into how. I mean, Flip Cup's just one example, but it's such a great story.
So let me set the tone first. Neighborhood of a bunch of people just like us that really don't have a lot of other things going on in life. And so we decide to, like, I don't know, be frat kids. Yeah. And so we have a series of fraternities running around in our neighborhood. We're super like active on social media, which is probably the downfall of the whole thing. But all I know is that we were looking for fun times as a bunch of parents. And so we'd get together pretty frequently, and that morphed into having Flip Cup tournaments. And in this one particular thing, it might even be, we had a toga party, and we were like, the HOA was messing with everybody. So we called the FUHOA toga party. And that was our fraternity. And so everybody showed up in togas. There's like literally probably 100 people just standing in the streets drinking.
100 people, couple of kegs, porta potties, DJs. When she says toga party, it's not 18 people running around in sheets. It's a fucking toga party. Like 150 people half naked in the street and all the liquor you can drink.
Now, see, now was Mendez there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I've met Ben, okay? Okay, so keep going. Tell me about the Flip Cup. So what is the game?
Flip Cup is where you just like a red Solo cup works the best, but any kind of like plastic cup. And so there's a line of people. There's, let's say, 5 or 6 people, whatever. So you put, and everybody's cup has about, I don't know, this much, like maybe equivalent of a shot of like beer. You could do it with liquor, but you'll get re-hammered real fast. We went to wine for Jason one night, and that didn't turn out so well. Then we went to Fireball, and that didn't turn out even worse.
It's because, I take it back. We have had a woman on here. He's a co-host. Wine. Are you kidding me?
Try doing 30 shots of it in an hour.
So there's Jason in every cup. Okay.
Yep. And you basically, the first person takes the drink, and then you have to take the cup, sit it on the edge of the table, like this, and then you have to take it and you have to flip the cup and make it land upside down. And then
let me stop. I'm gonna cut sound, and I'm just gonna play that video right there of her making those moves, and let people guess what she was talking about. She was going like this, and she was going. So I'm going to cut sound, and I'm going to go, what was she talking about right here?
I walk right into it every damn time.
You do. Okay. So you set it on there, and after you drink it, you put it down, and then you try to flip it.
not giving any visuals now. You try to flip the cup over to land like upside down, and as soon as you do it, then the next person can go. And so it just goes in succession. It's like a waterfall effect. And then to get to the very end, and that person's like your anchor and the person who can bring it home, because it usually comes down to the last person. And I just happen to be, let me be clear, the very few gifts in life that I was blessed with. One is I can burp really loud like a dude, which is awesome and humiliating at the same time. And that I don't know, I forget the other one. The last one is I can play flip cup, and I'm really good at it for some weird reason. And
so you're the anchor.
I'm the anchor, and so we've had many nights. We have single-handedly, in a group of maybe 10, 15 of us, cleaned out, I don't know, an entire street's worth of packed beer fridges in one evening.
Yep. So everybody on our street has, and really everybody in the neighborhood, has a refrigerator in their garage that is specifically for alcohol. And when we would have these parties,
let me stop you
from house to house.
Wait a minute. Everybody in your neighborhood has a beer fridge, and you have a little wine holder.
I had a wine cooler.
Yeah.
Not a cooler, but a wine chiller.
Me and Leslie, the adults, will talk. The men will talk, and we'll let you sip your wine and tell us about your last period, and you can explain.
Here's part of the story that you got to understand. So these parties would just kind of happen organically. So that particular night, I had a neighbor that lived down the street, Kevin Warwick. He's probably listening tonight, and he's going to be his wife's going to be mad I said his name. He won't remember. But he lived about 2 doors down. And I'm out walking the dog, and he's by himself, sitting in the garage with his dog drinking a beer. And we start talking, and he goes, "Hey, you want to come back down and have a beer?" And I said, "Sure." So I brought the dog back home, grabbed a beer, and went and sat down. Within an hour, there are 20 people standing in his garage around a 6-foot table, and Leslie's going, "Let's play flip cup." And 7 hours later, none of us know how we got home. And that was on a Tuesday or a Wednesday night. It happened every night of the week.
So how long now, Leslie? How long have you not lived in the neighborhood?
Let's see. I moved about 3 years ago, so it's been.
So
3 years.
Jason, the first time I ever came, it was just me, and we went. That's when we went fishing.
I remember the first time you came along.
You remember the first time you came, right?
You were by yourself. I remember that because you called me right afterwards.
Yeah. I was out of breath, but I was relaxed.
I remember.
No, the first time that I visited you there, and I remember the night I got there, you came and got me to the airport. We got back to the house. We were drinking a beer. We may have walked the dog, but we walked out and somehow ended in someone's backyard who had a bar back there.
And an April Cook.
There were 30 people there.
Yep.
Were you? And was she not there? Was Leslie not there?
I don't think so. We were at another neighbor's house, but those things, nobody planned those things. I mean, it really, when I tell you, it wasn't like somebody said, "Hey, let's have a bunch of people over." It never happened that way. It was literally just an organic, "What are you doing?" "Oh, I'm just having a beer." "Oh, we should call Leslie and Eric." And then eventually there would be, and I'm not bullshitting, there'd be 50 people standing out there.
That's true. It happened so fast and so, like you said, organically, that it was just like, it was almost every night. You'd probably be standing around talking to somebody, and then all they had to do was make a call, and then those, couple of people would shift over. And it's like, before you know it, we're 100 people deep, and we're raging. We got a band going. There's porta potties pulling up. There's people throwing up. Somebody got in a fight. Somebody hooking up with somebody else's wife. Who knows?
So Kat and I will be in town, and we can start one of these, right? Is that what no, I'm sorry.
You don't have to start it. All you got to do is stand around long enough. It'll happen.
Yeah.
I feel if I stand around.
The reason that the flip cup story is interesting is because, and the reason I said everything happened to Eric in public was, and I'll just play this game with Leslie. So Leslie, I learned about Eric's vasectomy how?
Well, probably because it was the day of the toga party, and he showed up anyway. He had just had his nuts cut on, and he was like, "Fuck it, I'm going."
Yep. He got his nuts cut on, and 3 hours later, he showed up at the party drinking, and we all celebrated him walking around with a bag of frozen peas in his underwear.
Dude. He also got a BMW too. Let's be real. Daddy got a Smith present.
He lost his nuts, but he also got a Beamer.
Man, I didn't need a BMW. I didn't need anything. I walked into the urologist with my hands in the air, doing this sign, knowing that I was getting fixed. They thought I was stupid. I mean, that guy, he goes, "You're in a good mood." I said, "Yeah, sterilize me. Let's go."
Right?
I don't want it. I was 40 when my youngest was born, which, Leslie, you should have another one. It's fun to do middle of the night stuff at 40. It really is. And we want you to have one so you can come back next year on the show and talk about it.
Well,
Yeah,
so,
no.
Leslie, how did I learn about Eric's LASIK surgery?
Oh, yeah, because I showed everybody the picture of him having it done when they put this clockworky orange thing in his eye. You could see it, and they played it on a video, and it's like in a glass room. So I'm standing there in the waiting room watching this shit happen.
Yep.
And it's like, I mean, we've all seen Clockwork Orange and that real like messed up thing. Oh my God. So they stuck that shit in his eye. I was like, what the hell is going on? I'm watching this shit on video and they're touching his eye with like shit. I'm like,
was he awake?
Yes. Yes.
That's why I'll just wear my readers. I'm never going to have
the
people.
next night. Here's Eric on the street, Current Drive. You guys aren't going to believe what I did yesterday. That's how we rolled. It was like a bunch of freaking high school kids walking up and down the street. They touched my eyeball yesterday. And us drunk guys are like, "Oh, let's check it out. Open that up. Can I touch it?" Oh, it was insanity.
Well, here's the even more messed up part is that like that stuff would happen. Like we'd have normal life stuff, and then we all balanced at least 2 or 3 personalities at a given day. You had like normal mom or normal dad, and then you had, you know, like your work, you know, persona, and then you had your evening, everybody else, how your friends know you persona. So in those cases that like our, you know, mom or dad personas during the day would take over and be like, "Oh, that's too bad. You had eye surgery. Let me go drop a bottle of wine off and maybe bring you a meal train." And then later on, it's like, "Fuck yeah! Drink another shot!"
Flip cup. Let me tell you about his balls getting cut on.
Somebody flick Eric in the balls.
Guess what I'm doing? What is this?
Right.
So, here we really want to get to know you and do that. So how old are you and how much do you weigh?
No and no. No, I'm just kidding. I just turned 40 this year. It's a big year for me. And in terms of weight, I plead the Fifth Amendment. I might be in the target of 115. I'm probably over that. You know.
John is a perfect 34, 26, 34, and his other leg is the same.
My leg. There's a lot to love here. I'm telling you. Although I'm losing, dude. I'm losing. So, you know, we have to ask with your children, which child of yours is your favorite? You can tell me. It's okay. I mean, you know what? It's not who's your favorite. Which one, say they weren't there anymore, might not miss him or her as much.
Oh, yeah.
She's going to plead the Fifth.
No. I like, so.
Oh, no. Oh, no. I know the child that I hate the most. Yeah, hang on.
Yeah, no, I'm going to go with the one that gives me the most retirement potential, and that's definitely the middle child. She's
yes, absolutely. Oh, yeah. I've got 3 kids, and I love them all the same. I promise. That's all they'll.
Leslie, you got 2 boys. So tell me the weirdest mom story that you've had to deal with dealing with a boy.
Oh my God. That's an easy one. There's so many. I mean, like, and I don't know anything about dude stuff. So let me just preface that. Like, so when Clayton
You're doing good.
The 4 years old, and maybe 4, it could be 5. I don't know.
This is your oldest? Okay, obviously your oldest.
No, the youngest one.
Okay,
the youngest one comes to me. It wasn't very long ago in the last, I don't know, year or 2. And he's like, Mommy, why is my pee-pee so hard? I don't know. Like, you have to go ask your dad. Why don't you try going pee-pee for a little bit? It was the first thing in the morning. And sure enough, he had like a little baby boner. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I didn't know little babies got boners. So like.
It's called morning wood. Yeah, it starts early.
Apparently. And no, they didn't write that in a fucking book though, for like moms like me trying to figure this shit out. I'm barely winging it on any given day. So
yeah, they got
this happens.
The sequel to What to Expect When You're Expecting. The sequel to that book's going to be What to Expect When Your 3-year-old pops a boner in the morning.
What to expect when you're not expecting.
So
Exactly.
so he's the youngest. So with did you ever have to deal with that with Ethan?
Oh, no, the best one with Ethan. Eric and I hadn't really even been probably dating that long. So Ethan was probably 3.5 going on 4, and he was still trying to work out the potty training thing when it comes to the deuce.
Dropping the deuce, yeah.
Dropping the deuce. So he comes running in one day. I think I'm getting dressed. Eric's in the shower, and he comes running in, and he's like, Dad, Leslie? And you hear the words as a parent that you never want to hear, which is, I didn't make it.
Is your last name Daniel?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Right. So it's a very similar story.
Lieutenant Colonel Daniel, by the way.
Yes. So. It's actually like pretty much the same story, but like, we'd go in there and take a look, and there was a little trail that led all the way to this guest bath where he and, his sister would go potties. And yep, it was shit everywhere. And I'm like, first of all, my first question was like, oh my God, how much shit can this kid have? Like, for real. You don't think it could be that bad. It's like a little kid, it's like, again, like 3.5, maybe 4, it's like if you got to, but
yeah,
holy case of the most explosive diarrhea. It was like on the mirror and on the top of the toilet. Like even if you didn't make it, can you make it near the toilet? But no, it was like, it was like a freaking butt faucet. So, and listen, and I'm about, I don't know, maybe 6 months into this relationship, and I'm thinking, red flag.
Yeah.
But didn't see it.
Bringing in children may be a different story now that you've cleaned up. You know what? My youngest is 13. You said your oldest is 13? Mm-hmm. Is he a 7th grader?
Yep.
Yeah, he'll be an 8th grader.
That's right.
Mine is 2. He's a 7th grader. When he was 3 or 4, and I get more crap from everyone that knows me from this camping, I was not afraid to change diapers. I was good at it. I mean, I didn't mind changing diapers. It never bugged me. I was not that dad that sat there and did the, you see the funny videos. They can't handle it. But we were on a camping trip, and we had 30 people that we all knew camping together. And my youngest one comes running up, and you can smell it immediately. And I'm like, oh God. And my wife is out somewhere with the girls doing something. And I go to, all right, come on, let's go change it. Take him in the tent and grab it. And I just open it. And when I saw it, I shut it and knew right away, this is a 2-man job. This is not good. This can't be handled with one. I don't have that one woman skill, which we got to give credit to women that can take the most explosive diarrhea shit that's ever happened and use one baby wipe.
Yeah,
me, I use a whole case, because I'm covered. Of course, so I put him in the car. We go driving around this lake, and I'm yelling, Kathy, I'm looking for my wife. And I said, you got to come help me with Kevin. So they all think I make my wife change the diapers. And I'm like, no. And she tried to defend me. She was like, no, this was a bad one. This was a bad one. And the kid just lays there going, this was awesome,
Right.
I can barely wipe my own ass with one baby wipe. I'm not sure I could do it with a kid.
Jay,
man. If that is, what they're doing, they're leaving the ass half soiled. There's no way. There are those times, we all have those clean shits, right? Where it's like, oh wow, like it was a completely clean one, but that's like few and far between. You must have really good fiber in your diet, but most of us don't eat like that. So the fact that we would expect our kids to eat like that, no freaking
What are you,
way.
David Copperfield? You got it all with one goddamn baby wipe? Get the hell out of here. That didn't happen.
Right?
Jay did that one time, and he shit so far up the wall, it took me 30 minutes to figure out the engineering and the mathematics on how he got it up there.
Who, Jake?
He's like 2 feet tall. It's like 8 feet up on the wall. I'm like, I don't even know how you did that.
Yeah, I mean, I could see if
you did it. I'm actually impressed. I just don't know how you did it.
If you had it on your hands, I could see where you touch, but now we're talking 6 feet up. I mean, there's no way you got up there.
No, and no poop on him at all. Not in his butt, not on his pants, nothing. Just a splotch of shit 6 feet up the wall. And no ladder in the room, no trampoline, no nothing. Just a big splotch of shit up in the corner. Got no idea how I got there.
I'm starting to think that was you, and you just didn't catch it till you saw him taking his shit.
It's possible.
I don't know. We know Jake. I mean, like he's a pretty ingenious kid. So like
he might have figured it out.
He is. You know Morgan?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. That's my goddaughter, by the way, my precious goddaughter who never does anything wrong, ever. She is
She's a sweetheart.
Oh my God. She is.
She's just like everybody else. Don't let her fool you.
Don't you ever talk bad about her. Ever. So, so tell me, what are the differences in raising girls and boys as a woman?
Yeah, I mean, so I think at least from a mom perspective, you know,
Mom.
I'm used to the girl crap. You know, I can explain why your boobs hurt, why you got your period, you know, all those things. We can talk about that stuff. But like the boy stuff, I got no clue about that. I mean, and I try, but man, I barely get it myself. Like, so
Oh.
that's been fun. And then you put the fact that they're stepkids in the middle of it. And I say it quietly because I'm like whispering or something, because like we try not to make that a thing in our house. Like we don't really talk about it. It's
Sure.
like we're all just a family. No matter what, we're all family. And but it is a difference because you have another set of parents to contend with, you know, or another, and you want to respect that. You want to be like, okay, this is their biological mom. I'm a mom and a similar right, but not the same. So I'm not trying to take her place. I classify myself in like the cool, fun aunt category.
That I believe.
So a good example is one of the very first lessons I taught the kids was like, hey, you know, I was like, hey, dude, did you eat your pineapple, you know, a little cup of pineapple after lunch? And Ethan, he was like 5 or 6. It's like, yeah. And I looked in the trash and I looked down and I was like, no, you didn't. It's right here. And he's like, and I'm like, lesson number 1 in life, hide your evidence.
Yes.
Boom.
Yeah. My deal was don't lie. Leslie goes with hide the evidence.
Right.
Yeah.
We do need to hang out. I'm now looking forward to Flip Cup more than anything.
Well, the next part of that, it occurred not too long ago, was like, all right, if you're gonna, this is how everybody gets caught, right? Once you tell a lie, stick with it. Do not change your story for anything. It does not matter what happens. Stick with it.
That's parenting 101.
Most parents are teaching them about nutrition and fruit. Leslie's teaching them corporate espionage.
Yeah, how to get away with it. This is how to
Stick to your story.
Yeah, this is
There's
how
2
you get
people
away
that know
with it.
the truth, and you killed one of them. So be quiet.
I don't care if they show you pictures of you doing it. You deny.
That's exactly right. Because hey, fun, cool aunt, right?
Right.
Somebody's got to teach them the ways of the world. You know how we all learned that lesson? The hard way.
That's right.
Yes. Hey, so how did you meet your husband? How'd you meet Eric? Tell me about Eric.
Oh man, how did I meet Eric? We actually met
Talk
at work.
freely here. He'll never listen to this. Don't worry about it.
That's not true. He listens to.
No, she had aluminum burn down her shoulder, and he needed change for a 20. It worked out.
Yeah, it was.
Well,
totally.
no. Well, let me ask this: is he a good tipper? Because, you know, I heard that he met you. You were working in a strip club. Is that what you told me, Jay? She was working in a strip club, and he was.
Well, working would imply that she was supposed to be there.
So he had a lot of ones or something. I don't know. Okay, so tell me about Eric.
Yeah, well, we met at a legitimate business.
Hey, strip clubs are legitimate.
Most of them.
Yeah.
No, but then again, we are in Tampa, so a little shout out there.
I'm catching a flight.
So we used to work together at a different software company.
Were you his boss?
No. At the time, actually, we were coworkers. Like in the same, I got moved into his department in sales, and so he was actually in sales. He was my mentor, teacher, and student relationship.
Oh my God! Is this Jim and Pam?
I know.
Do you watch The Office?
Yep. Yeah. Well, I did when it was on.
Yeah, you're Jim and Pam. Is that what it is? You're in sales and you're.
Ish. I mean, I'd like to think we're a little more exciting than that, but
well, I hope so.
So I will say, in my husband's defense, as I'm sure that Jason can attest to, my husband is like the most like lovable dude. He's like the smartest guy I know. He's brilliant, and if anybody was going to be a catch, it would be him.
Why do you keep looking over your shoulder? My husband's the most generous guy in the world.
Because he paid me to say that out loud.
He's got a huge personality. He's really funny.
Yeah, I mean, he made me write it down. It's right here, so
It's right here.
I can see
I've got it on the screen.
Keep going. Keep going. This is all true about Eric, actually. Go ahead.
It is. He's a great guy. He's a great dad. He's a great husband. I like him like 98% of the time. I mean, the other 2%, though, I want to like murder him in his sleep.
Sure.
But
Sure.
most of the time, he's fantastic. But so it's hard not to fall in love with a guy like that. So when we were working together, we had to travel together, and we did like trade shows, and we both came off of divorces, like not it, gosh, I mean, probably within a few months after those relationships fell apart, then he and I started working together. So it was kind of organic that it happened that way, and then we've been pretty much together ever since. And
did you say organic or
yeah, like it just
orgasmic?
well, I don't know if I'm allowed to use those terminologies on this sort of phone call.
Dim the lights.
That's why we charge for this. No,
But
so
yeah.
he sounds like a great guy. Jay, you've talked about him a lot, and y'all all hang out and went to Mexico, right? Tell me about the Mexico trip.
Yeah, we were in Mexico in November, and it was fantastic. You know, I've known Leslie and Eric for a long time, and part of the reason I love hanging out with them is because they are as good of friends as they are husband and wife. Sometimes you hang out with couples that you
Out of
go,
obligation.
oh, what a cute married couple, but then you also go, they probably don't like each other very much because they don't have a lot in common.
Right.
It's not that way with the two of them. I mean, they are. If they weren't married, they'd be best friends, and I would still be friends with both of them because that's just who they are.
That's the strength. And on a serious note, that's the strength of a marriage. Kathy and I are tremendous buddies. We have, and Jay, we were there when we came and stayed with y'all and came into town. We're husband and wife, but we love us to get away and do our own thing. We just have a lot of fun. And so I've told my daughter who's getting married, I've told everyone, look, sex is great. We all love it, but I promise you that if you can't hang out with somebody without having sex, your marriage is doomed. If you're not going to have fun when you're not in the bedroom, this is all wrong. I mean, I'm telling you, because you've got to be able to have fun, because I don't care who you are at night. Sometimes you're just freaking tired and you want to go to sleep.
Well, and I'll tell you about these two. It's really fun to watch because and I know a lot of couples, you and Kat, and I've known lots of people in my life. A lot of times when you separate the husband and the wife, like in a group, they are somebody different than they are when they're together. And so maybe
I've seen those couples
when they're not together, this one becomes really fun and exciting. They do things they wouldn't normally do. Like, I got to get away from my wife or my husband and go do something fun.
Yeah.
These two are more dangerous together than they are.
Yeah. Your first marriage.
Absolutely are. Like, they will get you in more fucking trouble together than you can separated. You're actually better to keep them together because then you can hurt them and you know exactly what's going on, because otherwise, I mean, if you're not in for a good time, you're fucked either way. You can't go, I'm gonna hang out with Leslie because it's quieter, or I'm gonna hang out with Eric because it's easier. You're fucked either way because they're both just as much fun. And it makes for a beautiful marriage, and I've enjoyed watching it.
Well, that description you had a while ago was of your first marriage. By the way, I was in that one too. So, and you know what? I don't know if your kids listen, so I'm not gonna say anything. But
if a 9-year-old is listening to this podcast, they get what they fucking get.
True. Speak it.
Okay, so we did Flip Cup. We've already talked about Flip Cup. So that's an interesting story that goes there. What did your kids do for you for Mother's Day? This is Mother's Day. Let me ask you this: where do your folks live? Are they back in Indiana or?
So my dad passed away like 5-6 years ago now. Actually, it could be longer.
Yeah.
Gone. But then my mom, she lives nearby. She lives up here in like Hudson. So it's like an hour away. I didn't see her this past weekend. We only started seeing her again, like I think maybe 2 weeks ago, because of all the COVID stuff. And she's got COPD. So we try to keep her isolated just in case.
Yeah.
So for this Mother's Day, it was actually pretty chill. We went to a friend's house, but they have kids, like a joint like brunch celebration. They have a pool, so we were capitalizing on that, but love them. And our kids are all about the same ages. So that was awesome. And they got me a blender. which sounds like a really lame Mother's Day present, but it's flipping awesome. I went from making chocolate milkshakes about 5 minutes before this to making strawberry margaritas from scratch. All in the same pitcher.
Blenders
Don't wash
can
it out
do
real
that.
good. Chocolate strawberry margaritas.
Yes, there you go.
Okay, so we got to ask a question for Two Farts fans. So this is our show's called Two Farts, and we want to know: do you fart?
Of course.
Okay.
Every time she gets the chance.
Yeah, I mean, well, do I try too loudly? No. Do I blame it on the dog or the baby? Yes.
Have you farted on Jason?
Oh, God, I don't think so.
I'm pretty
No.
sure she's farted and peed on me. What would be amazing is if we could get Leslie to whip up a burp real fast, and I'm telling you, you will wet your pants if it actually happens because it's
Oh.
brilliant.
You should have told me to pop open a Dr.
I know.
Pepper like an hour before this thing. I would have been like,
I know. I've got the best closing question whenever we're ready to
Okay,
start wrapping.
but before you get to that, let me just state matter of factly, I would never be impressed by Leslie's burps because I am married to the queen of burps, and my daughter is the same. They can literally, it sounds like sailors home from leave. I'm like, we just sit there and I'm like, do you understand if you were not as gorgeous as you are, that is the most disgusting thing I've ever heard. It comes from her. I think it comes from her loins, and she brings it all the way up, and it
Did you
rattles.
explode your uterus? Because that sounded bad.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
and I'll share this little tidbit. Right after I got divorced from my first husband, I was out at a bar with some girlfriends, of course, drinking away a few sorrows. And at the time, my choice of drink was a Miller Lite out of bottle. And I'd had a few beers and I let a big burp out.
Miller Lite makes me fart, so I don't know what it does to you.
And it definitely is like some oral flatulences kind of come up in this shit.
Yeah.
So I let out a huge burp. And of course, I mean, at that point, I didn't care. I wasn't married to anybody. I had nobody to impress. And all of a sudden, like out of the corner of my eye, here comes this guy trotting. It's my ex-husband. And he walks over and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And I'm like, "Hey, what are you doing here? Funny meeting you here." And then he's like, "I could tell you were here. I recognize the burp." I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, good to see you. Bye."
It's like a deer call. He was just over there in the corner and it went off and he went.
And it's the weirdest thing too, because like I would be out at that time. I was, of course, single, and one of my girlfriends would be like, "That's like your mating call. Like if you let out a burp, you're going to do one of two things to people. They're going to disgust them or you're going to turn them on, and you'd instantly weed out the weirdos that weren't turned on by it." So then all the guys, I mean, I can't tell you the amount of times that guys are like, "Could I buy you a drink?" Just because I burped, and I'm like, "Sure."
Hey, let me tell you what, and I'll tell you right now, I think as a man, and Jay, I don't know, you're different. You're a woman, so it doesn't count. So I'll talk to Leslie about this anyway. The fact that my wife burps like that. Now, she did not do that when we first got married. Don't get me wrong. I mean, she didn't do that when we were first dating. We were dating a while before she taught me what she could do. Her talent. That's it. Before she showed me her talent.
Special skill.
Yeah, her skill. But I'm going to tell you right now, as a man, that does not disgust me. There's part of me that it's even a little more
Jealous?
No, well, jealous, and
you're proud.
I'm proud. I've got some pride there, and I'm like, that's pretty damn good. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, that's pretty awesome. It's like a girl that just will rip one. I'm just like, no, I don't want my wife running around farting on me all the time. That's stupid. But you know what? You let one go, and you're not even going to stop your stride and just keep on going. That's awesome. You know what I mean? It's like, you're in a happy relationship when that happens. You just walk on by, let one go, and you're not too shy to just rip one and run. I call it a rip and run or a drag bunt. Now I'm lethal. So I talk about that. I can be lethal. So, all right, Jay, what were you saying? So we're winding this thing down. Tell me what's your question you wanted to ask.
So I've been waiting to do this in public with Leslie for a long time.
Oh God.
So I'm going to do it now. So, and the people that know Leslie will understand what I'm talking about. Those that don't, welcome to our world. So Leslie has these words that we call Leslieisms. And
this is what made me want to do it. You told me one, and it made me want to do this. Okay, go ahead.
So, and when you see this video, and those of you who aren't watching the video right now, you can't really tell, but Leslie is this beautiful young lady with this really
Big belly.
this really nice petite voice, and she's very professional, and she has a wonderful husband and beautiful children and all those things, but she has a mouth like a fucking sailor
Yes.
whenever she wants to. And the best part about her
She's
is
Deborah from Dexter.
She will actually make up her own curse words, and it's words that probably shouldn't go together, but when she says them, it makes all the sense in the world. And we call them Leslieisms. So what I'm going to ask Leslie to do before we leave is give me her best Leslieism, and here's the best part, and then give us the definition of that Leslieism, because she does both. It's a word, and you don't know what it is, and you go, yeah, what does that mean? And she actually has the definition.
Okay.
So I hate to put you on the spot, but I'm certain you've got one in the holster.
Okay. Oh, well, I guess sometimes I do my best material on the fly.
Yes.
I've had a couple of these in the vault for a while, and I bust them out upon occasion. These are a couple of my favorites.
Well, then let's hear them all. We got time.
So, I'll just go down my little list right here. And yes, I do have them saved on my phone. Because not only am I completely batshit crazy, but I'm also very organized. But
that works. Okay.
You can't be like, Betty Crocker and Betty White at the same time. So I got to mesh them together,
Right.
So one of my favorites is a fucktangle. So for example, let me use it in a sentence for you.
Yeah.
Fucktangle for those who didn't hear it.
Or to make it even more impressive, fucktangular. So you're going to, let's say, for example, oh my God, I do not live in Waterset anymore. That place is a fucktangle. And so the definition is obviously, there's multiple facets of how fucked up it is. So it's just fucktangular because of all the different points. So that's one. Or in a meeting, this would be a great use case for this one, is if somebody is going to be like what I call fuckerberg. So, man, that fuckerberg, he totally stole my idea. So it's just like, you're not like, it can actually mean a lot of different things, but it's a negative description of a person that did something to you. Usually it's somebody that stole your idea, taking credit for it, or pissing on your parade when you're trying to do something that's useful. So insert any one of those. And
that's called a fuckerberg. And that's an offshoot from Zuckerberg, who created Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessary. Yes, it is.
Because he stole that idea.
Well, yes, but actually I didn't even really intend it to be initially. I think as a description of him, it worked really well. But yeah, I guess, I mean, that's a fair assumption that, he did technically take that idea from somebody. So yeah.
Okay, so we've got.
I usually refer to it more so.
We've got Fuckerberg. Okay, next.
Oh man, well, I mean, gosh, there's been so many.
Twat waffle.
Oh no, that's an old one. That's a recycle. Let me. I gotta check my list because I gotta get.
Twat waffle.
Twat waffle.
Yep.
Okay, I gotta hear the definition of twat waffle.
It's again kind of dude, don't be a fucking twat waffle. Drink the beer this time. Come on.
Put the wine down.
Here's a recent one that we recycled was a dick snacker. So like, if you're going to be like an a-hole, you're a dick snacker. Like, again, I'll use it in a meeting connotation. You're in a meeting with somebody and like, they're just being kind of like cutting you off, not listening to what you're saying, blah, blah, blah. And like, they're just being a dick snacker because they're probably to the guy next to you. Like a brown noser.
Okay.
Visual, you couldn't beat the visual for any of you watching the actual
video. Well, the visual comes out Friday. We'll show the video Friday. And some of these I might silence them just so we can figure out what she's talking about. I mean,
oh my gosh.
That is
I'm gonna build a whole
I should probably get a smile on this one. There you go.
I'm going to build a whole show around Leslie's words.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, without a doubt, now we know the next time that Kathy and I are coming to Florida, when we're flying in. You're going to have to call Leslie and Eric and get them over there. They can bring the kids. We can handle kids. We're not worried about that.
It'll be a hoot. You'll enjoy
Oh,
it.
hell no. I'm going to leave those bitches at home. Mama's going out.
I see them every day.
Right?
Well, my kids will babysit them. So see, you bring them over to my house. I've got the 15 and the 13-year-old, and they'll hang with them and swim in the pool and have fun. And we'll go off and, we'll go to the strip club or wherever we're going to do flip cup. I've got to play flip cup.
We can just go in your garage, Jason. But I like this idea, this free babysitting thing. This is working out.
I like that.
Yeah. Now free, they're little entrepreneurs. They might hit you up for money, but you'll have them on site. Who knows? You know what? We're paying for the vacation. They can pay. They can do it. Guys, I think we're going to wind this thing down. This has been awesome, Leslie. This is our first. You know what? We have a woman. We have had a woman now. God, that sounds wrong. I'm sorry.
You finally had a woman.
I have finally.
I'm so happy to pop your girl cherry on the show.
Thank you so much. I feel a Leslieism coming up that's going to describe coming on this podcast. So Jay, anything you want to say before we get out of here? What's coming up this week? Anything huge?
No, I'm very happy that we got Leslie on. I was telling her earlier in the week, she's made for this stuff. And so it did my heart good to have her on. And I love her as a friend, and Eric, and I just appreciate their friendship so much. I'm glad I got to share a little piece of her with the world, because I think everybody's going to fall in love with her just like I did.
Well, we'll have to get her.
That's so sweet.
I know, right?
Suck up.
I know, right? Like, do I have to pay you for that or something? Like,
you have to pay me, not him.
I know.
I saw that, Jay.
And literally for that long, just
a tickle. That's all.
Just a tickle.
That's called a dick snacker.
Yeah. Jay, you're pretty proud of yourself. You're giving yourself a little more room than you thought. I mean, let's be honest.
Well, I have normal size hands.
When she's describing flip cup, she nailed you pretty good by that little thing right there. So she went like that, and I went, "Oh, Jason." So did Jill. Jill went, "Oh, Jason, yeah."
Do it again.
Hey, this has been great. Leslie, we're going to definitely have you back on. Maybe we'll have you on if we've got someone coming on that we may need to have her attacked from the woman's perspective. We'll get her on to do that. It's been a lot of fun, guys. Hey, really go to Twitter. Follow us on Twitter at 2fartsinAcan. Go follow us on the website, www.twofartsinAcan.com. Don't forget, if you're into the Rangers, go to the Recliner Nerd. Go listen to the Rangers Nation podcast. I had one that just came out yesterday. I was on a radio show today, so that was fun. And they had listened to it, and we talked about that. But this has been a lot of fun, Leslie. It's been a pleasure to meet you. Tell your husband thanks for loaning you out to us. That sounded wrong again.
Thanks for passing her around.
It's like Eric's a pimp or something. Thanks for loaning her out to us.
It is. I mean, in his own right. But thank you guys for having me. It was great. And it was great to be able to bring some Tampa to the show, even though I love hearing the stories about, your high school and even elementary school days. But I'm glad to be part of the team that can represent a little on the other side of Jason's life.
Absolutely. Two farts. Hey, let me tell you what, two farts comes from everywhere. So that's, we have a big following that comes from the high school. We had a big high school that we grew up in and doing that, but there's certainly two sides to everything. We've got friends that love it and listen to the show and do that. And Leslie, you were just a perfect, this was fun to have you on here. Thank you so much for coming on. That's Leslie Weitz. For some reason, she's a friend of Jason's. Deuces. She's got the deuces up. Jay, deuces. Tell everybody what we're doing. Deuces.
Deuces, baby.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time. This is Two Farts in a Can. Until next time, stay gold, pony boy. All right, let me stop this.